Hi, hello friends, welcome back. This is your Ravikant Nila. I am your software testing coach. Okay, so previous class we have seen that career guide. In that we have discussed like about how the software testing course, what the components are there, and what tools we need to use to start with software testing. All this such kind of information in last video we have seen that, right? So today I would like to show you practically how the process will start if any project comes to your company. Okay, we'll start from there and we'll see how the process will start when any new project comes into the picture. So here, so first of all, let's see that what is a software testing. So software testing is the process of to verification and validation to check the requirements or the client requirements are working as expected results. As expected. Software testing is a process of to verification and validation to check the client requirements are working as expected. So the main motto, the main goal of software tester is to detect the defects. So the main goal of software testers is to detect the defects. It's not a goal of defect free, 100% defect free. No one can give that software. So the main goal of software tester is to identify the defects, to find the defects. For that, we are testers in the picture. So here, let's take one small use case. If any project comes, how it going to be handled? And what the phases it includes, who are the characters included to drive this process end to end. I'm going to be show you a practical session here. Okay, first let's see the requirement. So one person is coming, the client like say like that person is HDFC client. He wants to implement one requirement. What is that requirement? HDFC is a what? Banking sector. He wants to implement one new feature, which is like he wants to implement the automatic loan approval by implementing the AI feature. Okay, he wants to implement the automatic loan approval by using feature AI technology. Okay, HDFC client, he wants to implement the automatic loan approval by using feature AI technology. This is what his requirement. Okay, what he will do first of all, he will approach to one company called TCS company. He will reach to one company called TCS or Infosys or Dell, whatever it is company it is. He is expecting some solution for his needs. So he comes to the TCS company. Yes, TCS company, what he will do? Yes, first TCS company, he will appoint one project manager. He will appoint one project manager for his needs. Next, one more role will be there, product manager. And next, design architects. Design architects will come. And next role will be developers. And next role will be the testers. And next will be system admins. system admins. So here, if we want to develop any project, yes, the company, the client, the client is having some requirement. That requirements has to be fulfilled with some software company, which is like TCS company. He has reached to the TCS company. The TCS company, he wants to give the solution for the client HDFC. For his needs, the first role will be appointed as a project manager. He is a point of contact for specific engineer development, like in the scope like a cost and plan time. This is his role. Okay, the project manager, he will set the timeline for the engineer development. He will be responsible for all the engineer techniques like time, scope, and cost, plan. He will design all these things. Okay, he will be part of what? The engineering part. And next come to the product manager. He will be involving in end-to-end process of the SDLC. So to develop any software, every software company will use the SDLC process. SDLC process. The product manager will be in an entire SDLC process, starting from requirement understanding and development and testing, production, pre-production. In all SDLC process, his involvement will be there. Whereas project manager, his involvement will be for a specific engineer aspect like cost, metrics and planning and scope and timeline of this project, everything he'll be deciding. Okay. So first what happens, project manager will be allocated for the HDFC client. Okay. And next one more role is there, I forgot to keep here, business analyst. Business analyst. And third is the product owner. And fourth is what? Design architect. And fifth is the developers. And next sixth is the testers. And seven is the system admins. So first for this project, one project manager is allocated. And this project manager and next business analysts are allocated. The business analyst, those are going to the client premises, HDFC client premises, and they will gather all the requirements. They'll gather all the requirements from the HDFC client. After that, what they do? Yes, then after gathering all the requirements, where do they store? They will store into one document called BRD and FRD documents, where BRD stands for Business Requirement Document and FRD stands for Functional Requirement Document. So by the time of a business analyst going to the HDFC client premises, he is going to be gather all the requirements. What the HDFC has the problem that all the requirements he is gathering and storing into the BRD documents. So a high level document, the BRD can be called. And once the client has approved that BRD documents, then it got freeze. When client given a green sheet, then he will start preparing the FRD document, functional requirement document, detailing document. These two are prepared by who? Means a business analyst. Business analyst. Okay. And next product owner come into the picture. He will try to understand all the requirements because down the line there are designing team is there, development team is there, testers are there. They need to design the requirements, they need to develop the requirements, they need to test the requirements. To do all these things, they need some kind of KT. They must have some communication, what client is expectations. So who will coordinate these people? Means the product manager, he is one of the person who knows all the end-to-end business. He knows all the SDLC process. He will be involving starting from HDLC process starting to ending. Okay, here I am saying that HDLC process. Every project needs to be follow the SDLC process, which includes requirements, designing phase, development, testing, deployment, maintenance. In SDLC, we have these phases: requirements, designing phase, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So this entire phase, this product manager involvement will be there. The entire cycle of SDLC, his involvement will be there. So he will understand all the requirements as a story points, everything he'll understand it. And he will educate these design teams and development teams and testing teams. He will give the understanding what he's understood, all the requirements he's having. He will be giving knowledge for all the down the line people. According to that, the architects will be doing that designing phase like HLD and LLD. HLD stands for high level designing documents and LLD is what low level designing documents. So these documents are prepared by the designer architects. The requirements what they understood, they'll be doing the designing. After designing completes with this requirements, and then the developers will come into picture. They do developing that application by using any of these languages like Java or C# or Python, etc., etc. Like these are the languages he used to develop the requirements. What the HDFC client is desired that requirements are being developed using with the developers by using any of these language. Once the development part is over, the next what needs to be performed? Friends, testing. Testing needs to be conducted. Here I would like to give the brief about testing. Here testers are involved. Here the testers needs to be test that requirements. As I told you in the previous session, testers are involved in doing various types of testings. What kind of testings they do? Yes, they do functional testing, and one second. So functional testing, and they do non-functional testing, nothing but performance testing, and they do mobile testing. They do web services testing, and they do security testing. So all types of testing the tester will be performing on that build. Okay. So the testers are involved. To do all these things, the testers needs to be follow the process called STLC process. It stands for software testing lifecycle. Software testing lifecycle. This also follows various phases. Even the testers needs to test their application, they must understand the requirements. They need to understand the requirements. After they understanding the requirements, they need to plan for testing. Test planning will be happening that. Test planning. Then after they will be doing what? Test case designing that. Test case designing. Test case designing or development. And after preparing the test case designing or development, they do the test executions. And after that, during executions, the testers will be identifying the defects. as I told you in this previous starting class, the main goal of tester is to find the defects, to make that bug free, not 100%. The main agenda is to find the bugs, not for 100% bug free. Make sure that point, okay? So how many bugs are present? We have to find that as more defects you can find, okay, fine. As many defects you can find in this build during execution phase. After execution completes, then defect reporting and tracking. And last, test closure. So the testers will conduct all these types of testings like functional testing, performance testing, mobile testing, web services testing, security testing. Okay, to do all these things, the tester needs to be follow the STLC process, which stands for software testing lifecycle, which contains requirements and test plan, test case designing or development, test executions, defect reporting and tracking, and test closure. So to do this testing, everyone has to understand the requirements, and after that accordingly they need to plan for testing. In this test planning, what they do plan? Yes, they plan for what is the scope of the testing, what is the objective of the testing, what are the objectives, what are the strategies, what are the testing strategies I need to follow, and what are the deliverable documents that I need to prepare during the test executions, and who has to prepare the plan, and who has to review the plan, and who has to approve the plan, and if any risks comes, what are the mitigations that we need to follow during the test execution plans, okay, and what the tools that we use to do this testing, like any of the tools like defect management tools or project management tools, any automation tools, what are tools that I need to use during this testing, everything I need to plan. And next, who are the resources, how many resources are required to this part of this testing, and what are the roles and responsibilities, okay, and finally we need to get approval from the client. Once client is okay with these all requirements, what we have planned, once he gives approved, then a billing will comes for us, then testers will start preparing the test cases and test executions and defect reporting, everything they start. Getting? So okay, fine, after planning happens, then the testers will start designing the test cases. What do they prepare in these test cases? They prepare some test scenarios and they prepare some test cases. What is the difference between these two? Test scenario and test case. Test scenario is what to test, and test case is how to test. To say example, suppose you want to test one login functionality. That's a testing for login functionality is a scenario, and in that how to test is what how we can test this login functionality. Like I can test while providing valid credentials, which means correct username and password. That's one test case. And next test case is enter the invalid credentials, which is wrong username, wrong password is one more test case. And with the inactive username password, we try to log in is one more test case. And next with the blank username password is one more test case. Like this, how to test means how we can test it. These are the possible test cases, we can say like that. So the testers are preparing test scenarios and test cases. Okay, fine. After preparing their test scenarios and test cases, they will start executing on that prepared test cases and scenarios. During the test executions, they will be finding some defects. The defects needs to be reported and needs to be tracked until it get closed. Okay, after this last is what the metric test closure. So we have to close this STLC process. How we can close and what metrics we can close this STLC process. So we can close this depends on execution reports and defect reports. When testers execute these test cases, during the executions, they'll get a status like passed, failed, skipped like that. So if any unexecuted test case are there, if there means we have to pending test cases needs to be complete the executions. Until all test cases executed and all defects got fixed and got closed based on these two metrics, the SDLC process will get closed. This is what the tester involved were exactly in doing all those things, following the process called SDLC process. At final, what they do, then lastly they have to deploy into the production servers. Who will do this deploying in a production servers? The system admins, like Windows admins, Linux admins, DevOps admins. These are the guys will be initiating to deploy that the SDLC process, whatever process we followed to design the requirements, to develop the requirements, to test the requirements. After every process completes end by end, then last stage the admin people will involve in deploying this into production environment. Guys, I would like to give one small information here. In real time, we will talk about production servers and non-production servers. So where production server is where any process, SDLC process gets complete, that will be deployed into the production server, making it live. So like you and me, end customers or end users, we can access that website. We can use that functionality. In a live, it will be there. That's called production server. Whereas non-production server will be internally companies are organizing this non-production servers. So if any requirements needs to be developed, any testing needs to be performed, any performance testing needs to be performed, any pre-production testing needs to be performed, everything will be done in a non-production servers. See here friends, we have a production server and we have a non-production server will be there. Production server, like we have a prod is the production server, and non-production server is for development perspective. We have a separate dev server will be there. For testing perspective, test server will be there. For performance perspective, server will be there. Staging, UAT, like this, etc., etc. So many non-production servers are available. For various aspects that servers are used. If the developers wants to do their development activities, they do on dev servers. So developers will interact with dev servers, they do development. Where testers will interact with test servers, they do test their builds, functionalities. Performance testing, okay, they do the performance testing using the perf servers. Okay, the codes will be deployed into respective servers, the respective characters will come and perform their responsibilities on that non-production servers. Okay, at last finally they will be deploying to what? Production server. This is what the process, if any client having some requirements, and this is the process that would follow every organizations. Here the roles are project manager. He'll be for specific engineer task, he is dedicated to what is the cost of the project and what is the plan and what is the scope and what is the timeline. These engineering kind of things he is responsible. And business analyst, he is a person who gathers that all the requirements, all the business from the client and stored into BRD and FRD documents. And whereas product manager, he is a person hand and whole and soul, he'll be handling all the SDLC process starting to ending. So he knows the requirements, he'll be in a process of designing and development, testing, deployment and maintenance. In every phase of SDLC, the product manager involvement is very essential. Okay, so and designing will happens, development, testers, like this happens. So finally we come to know like HDFC is a client. So who is the client here? Client is what? HDFC. And what is the company? Like TCS. And what is the domain? like it is banking, technology, AI featured, and duration like 1 year. Okay, now if any client have a requirement to be developed, yes, has to approach one company and needs to be follow all these process. I hope this video will helps you in getting more the process, how the development actually happens, how the requirements gathered, who are responsible for what, all those things. Here one more thing you need to give clarification. The product owner, he is the person, he will be monitoring all the process. He knows all the business. He knows all the business. He'll be connecting with market people like BAs, and he will gather all the requirements of the client, and he will educate that designers, developers, and testers in giving the KTs kind of thing. Accordingly, they'll be doing their respective process while following the SDLC process and STLC process. Okay, I hope this video will helps you a lot. I have briefed you very detailedly about this process. And next video, we'll talk about that next video with another new topic. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, friends.